The new kid at school was unlike anyone we'd ever seen. He was enormous, towering over even the tallest teachers, his wide frame barely fitting through the classroom doors. His name was Daniel, but everyone just called him the fat boy. Kids can be cruel, and Daniel became the target of every mean joke, every whispered insult, and every snicker in the hallways. But Daniel never reacted. He didn't fight back, didn't cry, didn't even flinch. He just stared at whoever teased him, his dark, sunken eyes unblinking, his lips curling into the faintest smile. It was unsettling, the way he seemed to enjoy the attention, like he was savoring it. Most kids took it as a sign that he was harmless, that they could say whatever they wanted without consequence. I wasn't so sure. I kept my distance from him, but my friends didn't. They thought it was hilarious to push him, to throw food at him in the cafeteria, to mock his size and his slow, deliberate way of speaking. One day during gym class, they went too far. "Hey, fat boy!" shouted Eric, the loudest and meanest of the group. "Think fast." He threw a basketball directly at Daniel's face. It hit him with a loud smack, and for a moment, everyone froze. Daniel didn't move, didn't blink. His eyes locked on Eric, and that faint smile widened ever so slightly. "You shouldn't have done that," Daniel said, his voice low and calm. Then he walked away, leaving Eric laughing nervously and the rest of us in uneasy silence. That night, Eric didn't come to school the next day, or the day after that. When we asked the teachers, they said his parents had reported him missing. The police were searching, but no one knew where he'd gone. The last anyone saw of him was when he'd left school, grinning and bragging about how he'd made the fat boy flinch. By the end of the week, another kid disappeared, Jason, one of Eric's closest friends. And then a third. Panic spread through the school, and parents started pulling their kids out of classes. But Daniel stayed. He sat in his usual seat, silent and smiling, as though nothing had changed. One afternoon, I noticed something strange. The school cafeteria was unusually quiet, and Daniel was sitting alone, as always. But this time, he wasn't eating the bland cafeteria food. He had a lunchbox, a bright red one that didn't seem to fit his grim demeanor. Curious and unnerved, I watched as he carefully opened it. Inside were small, round objects wrapped in foil. At first, I thought they were cookies or some kind of homemade snack. But then he unwrapped one, and I saw what it really was. A bone. Small and white, with scraps of flesh still clinging to it. My stomach turned as Daniel brought it to his lips and bit down, his eyes flicking up to meet mine. He smiled. I didn't say anything. I didn't move. I didn't even breathe until he closed the lunchbox, stood up, and left the cafeteria. That was the last time I saw Daniel. The next day, his desk was empty, and the principal announced that he had transferred to another school. No explanation, no goodbyes, but the missing kids were never found. And sometimes, late at night, I can still see his face in my mind. Those sunken eyes, that unsettling smile. I know he's out there somewhere, waiting for the next joke, the next insult. And I know one thing for certain. Daniel isn't just a boy. Not anymore.